Okay, in this video we're going to be looking at some key indicators of macroeconomic performance for an economy. So basically all economies around the world measure their economic performance using a range of different indicators, and those include GDP, GDP per capita, they look at unemployment rates, productivity growth, inflation rates, a whole range of different factors to determine whether the living standards within that country is improving. So changes to each of these economic indicators can have an impact on both material and non-material living standards. So the first one, gross domestic product. Gross domestic product is looking at the total market value. So the total at the end price is what things are being sold at their final value of a nation's production. And it's calculated by looking at the price of all the goods and services produced multiplied by the quantity produced within a nation's borders. And then what we have is the word GDP per capita, which measures the income per person within a nation. So that's the most common measure of a nation's material living standards. We also use the term aggregate demand, which is the total demand for a nation's goods and services, and we'll talk a little bit more about how that's calculated in the following video. So basically what we're going to look at is how the goals of the macroeconomy, we're only going to look at 3 of them, particularly low unemployment and strong and sustainable economic growth. We've talked about low inflation a little bit already. In terms of the aim of all economies, the aim of all economies is to maximise living standards. And living standards has 2 different components to it. There's what we call material living standards, and that's basically measuring the material wealth of consumers, so the ability of individuals to access goods and services, or how many goods and services they can consume. And it's most commonly measured by increases in GDP per capita or income per person. So if GDP per capita rises, it is argued that living standards have increased because we have access to more goods and services. Non-material living standards is a measure of the overall quality of life of citizens, and that includes hard-to-measure factors like happiness and life satisfaction. So material living standards is a measure of a citizen's purchasing power. It's generally measured by GDP per capita or income per person. Material living standards can fall as citizens experience a fall in their disposable income, so they have less money to spend, or if prices go up too fast, it can also reduce people's living standards. Non-material living standards include factors that are harder to measure, like the health, stress levels, quality of relationships, the level of congestion within society, air quality, crime rates, a whole range of other factors that impact our living standards despite just how much we can afford in terms of goods and services. An economy can improve its living standards if they either basically can improve their material living standards by increasing the amount of national income, or they can improve our non-material living standards by improving some of these other factors like happiness, environmental health or pollution, etc., etc. The material living standards of an economy will increase if gross domestic product increases at a faster rate than population growth. So if GDP increases faster than the population grows, then a country's material living standards will increase. So what we mean by that is gross domestic product is the total market value of all goods and services, so the total value of a nation's production. If that grows at a faster rate than population grows, the economy will have higher incomes per person. So we need the total value of production to grow at a faster rate than the population grows. And that means that GDP per capita or income per person will increase. The material standards of an economy will increase if GDP grows faster than population growth. We need the final market value of all goods and services to grow at a faster rate than what the population grows. And we'll talk about that a bit more in the next video.